So what did FBI say about this? Did you call Dan Bongino or Kash Patel to ask their view?
Well, I have reached out to Bongino on many occasions, and this is part of the story is that in my reporting about the new FBI, I've been very critical of them, especially after their abandonment of the whistleblowers, because that was one of Patel's promises, was that they were going to make the whistleblowers whole. That was one of Bongino's promises. They were going to make the whistleblowers. And we're talking about the whistleblowers that had whistleblown about the COVID regime, about the mandates related to that, about January 6th, the guys that were told to go out and SWAT raid grandmas, for misdemeanor offenses, something the FBI had never done in its 100-year career, history of the agency, the bureau. And so I'd become very critical. And 5 times that I know of, and I only know this because the executives at the Blaze relayed it to me, 5 times individuals from the 7th floor of the FBI, the Hoover building, called my bosses to try to get me fired at the Blaze.
What?
Yes.
Who? Do you know who called from FBI?
Dan Bongino called twice. He was the first one that I was
to try to get you fired?
Yeah. Well, first of all, to complain. Then it escalated from there.
Did he call you?
No, didn't. No. Bongino and I, Bongino gets my DMs because he told my bosses that he reads my DMs. That's why I know he gets them. And he famously blocks people on his, X account. He's never blocked me. But he's criticized me. He's the one who told Thomas Massie that he would personally write the check for the defamation lawsuit from Shawnee Kirkhoff.
How did Dan go so quickly from a critic of the deep state to its most aggressive defender? What happened to Dan, do you think?
I don't know, but I can tell you that in February of 24, and it's still on Dan's X page. You can go there. February 24, he is singing my praises. He goes, that Baker guy at the Blaze, he is just knocking it out of the park about the pipe bomb. Because we were releasing videos back then that nobody had ever seen.
Yes.
Like, the destruction of the bomb by the robot. I mean, the fact that investigative cameras had been turned away from the site. We not only found that the cameras had been turned away, we found the act of them being turned away from the investigation scene. And we were releasing all these videos back then, and he's singing my praises. Well, he's complete opposite now. I don't know, look, I can speculate as much as anybody. Looks like he had a breakdown of some sort.
He's terrified. That's obvious. I don't know why. I don't know any more than that. I know, having had a lot of contact with Dan Bongino, he turned on a dime. Something happened to him at FBI that just broke him as a man, destroyed his life, and certainly destroyed his career. And I feel sorry for him, but I just find it interesting that he was your greatest opponent. You're just trying to find out what happened.
Yeah, he tried to call me off of my reporting on the whistleblower situation. And then as we were getting closer to this story, he called. So the first person he called was the president of the Blaze. And that was in the summer before I even knew who Kirkhoff was. And then later he called my editor-in-chief. And then Ben Williamson, the assistant personal affairs officer in the 7th floor of the FBI, he called my editor-in-chief. Both Bongino and Williamson agreed that Bongino would sit down with me and let me show him the evidence we had developed on the pipe bomb, which he never did.
No.
And I sent him many messages trying to execute that opportunity, that sit down. Never happened. And then...
Why wouldn't he want to see that, I wonder?
I don't know. He famously criticized Massie, in his tirade. He went on like a 4-day tirade against Massie. And one of the things he was criticizing Massie for is that Massie wouldn't accept his invitation to come down to the Hoover building and see their evidence against Brian Cole Jr.
Dan is working to cover up,
right?
The activities of the permanent government. It's just, I just have never seen anyone change that much or be that afraid. I mean, it looked like he was going to have a heart attack. He was so afraid. And I'm not saying that to attack him, but I just wish I knew what happened to him. You haven't heard.
No, I know.
But you noticed the change I'm talking
specifics.
About. Yeah.
But what I do know is that he made 2 calls to my bosses. Ben Williamson made 1 call. Marshall Yates, who was the congressional liaison to the FBI, formerly general counsel staffer for Thomas Massey, before he went to FBI. He called my bosses. He definitely was trying to get me fired. Marshall called the White House. He called Congress members. He did media sources, everything they could to try and.
And what was your crime again?
My crime was reporting on Kirchhoff. And I allegedly was the person that received leaks of both files and technologies from Joe Kent, the director of national counterterrorism.
Did you?
No, not. In fact, before I left the Blaze, the week before, I got a call from Daily Wire, reporter to Daily Wire, 9:30 at night at home, and he said, "Hey, I'm calling to comment from you on a story that I've got." I said, "Okay, hit me." He said, "I have 3 different sources from the intelligence community who say you were the recipient of leaks from Joe Kent." And I just busted out laughing in his face. I said, "Well, first of all, who are the 3 sources?" "I can't tell you that." I said, "You have 3 people from the IC telling you that I received technology and leaks from Joe Kent." "Yes, that's what I have." 15 minutes, I just went off on him. And he finally went, okay, I believe you. And then they didn't publish the story.
Yeah.
But everybody else did. Reuters did, New York Times, everybody else published stories about it.
So what was Kirchhoff's response to your piece?
It was through attorneys. I mean, she has never spoken herself until, guess what she got? She got the Ray Epps treatment from the New York Times. And they did the full puff piece on her. They made her into the sympathetic figure that I had defamed and falsely accused of being the bomber. And that reporter called me, and I did an hour and a half the first session and 30 minutes of follow-up with that reporter. I went through everything. That reporter had no idea that she had flunked, the polygraph. I went through tons of evidence and information that we have. And
so I read somewhere that she said there's video of me with my dog or my puppy during the hours in question when the bombs were planted.
Again, we have 3 sources from the FBI who called CBS and it's told CBS News that they had an alibi video of Miss Kirchhoff on the evening of January 5th while the bomber is running around at RNC and DNC, is that she is home, and I quote, "playing with her puppies." Okay. The same 3 sources from the FBI who allegedly leaked that to CBS would also have known at the same time, the same day, that she flunked the polygraph, and they conveniently left that out of the story.
Have you seen this video?
No, it doesn't exist as far as we know, because it has been under, they have request, the attorneys for Brian Cole Jr. have requested it under discovery, and it's never been turned over.
Cost of living is already making it hard to live here, and it's not getting any better. Unfortunately, it's likely to get worse, and a lot of Americans fill the gap with credit cards, not just for fancy dinners, but to cover things like groceries and bills. That is a disaster. It's understandable, but don't go down that road, because there is a tax, in effect, a survival tax of 20% interest or more. Why would you do that? Why would you hand money to the big banks when you could keep it for your family? Our friends at American Financing have a better way. If you're looking to buy your first home or refinance your current one, they're helping Americans achieve the dream of homeownership with monthly mortgage rates currently in the 5s. American Financing saves its customers an average of $800 per month. That's nearly $10,000 every year back to you. This isn't just a loan, it's a total financial reset. So debt is tough, but there's a smart way to do it and a reckless, self-destructive way to do it, credit cards. And so we recommend American Financing. They're salary-based, not commission-based, which means they actually work for you, not the banks. They're called America's Home for Home Loans for a reason. Call 800-685-5696, 800-685-5696, or visit americanfinancing.net/Tucker. Thanks for watching. You can go to tuckercarlson.com for our entire library of everything we've done, and we hope you will.